Hello everybody. Welcome to the second to last bracket race of week 1. This is game 3 of nashsauter versus MrByer. I am joined by Krithel on the booth. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Looking forward to this. As you say, game 3. It's one of our elimination games. Both of these players' lives on the line here.
Very true, and they will be playing against Purity Wong, the number 2 seed. Whoever can make it out of this has definitely a steep hill to climb. So we'll see how they progress.
And whilst we're waiting for our race to start, Malmo, do you want to explain hybrid major glitches? What's going on here?
All right, so we've got, a few words to unpack. What is a major glitch? Major glitches in this case are mostly restricted to out-of-bounds clipping in the underworld and the overworld. We call it hybrid because the logic doesn't expect you to do all of the major glitches, just the ones that we consider reasonably easy to do. So we're not expecting people to one-frame clip in the overworld. We're not expecting people to go searching the entire world for a moon pearl. We restrict it to mostly light world locations and a few easy to access dark world locations, which makes this mode more suitable to racing than what we just call major glitches.
Yeah, and so early on we'll see a lot of the overworld glitches, a lot of teleporting, clipping around. Really opens up the early game, makes it a lot faster to get from place to place. And I guess as we get later on, we'll start to see some of the underworld clips that have been allowed that really make this mode different and interesting from just overworld glitches.
Yeah, the underworld clips aren't just shortcuts. They allow you to link up dungeons in really unique ways and use keys in dungeons that weren't really intended to be used in. For example, using the Meyer big key to unlock a door in Tower of Hera, using a Meyer small key to unlock a door in Swamp.
And because the game can expect this of you, it can often be kind of hard to work out what you're supposed to do. So we'll see if we get confused, and hopefully our runners will keep a track of the logic.
All right, we should be off soon. The runners have started their countdown. Most people will choose between Link's House and Sanctuary. I've seen a lot of Link's House openers lately. I think it's popularized by how accessible a couple locations are from the start. And if you don't do them right away, you might put them off.
Yeah, definitely in this tournament, I think we've seen a lot of Link's House start, but it can quite quickly diverge. So it'll be interesting to see how these two end up playing out of that. I expect Hylia Island to be one of the first things we see, but we can very quickly split off from there. And we're off.
Hookshot in Link's House. Good start. Hookshot is one of the more awkward items to be missing in this mode because we need it for Swamp still. People who can't hover or Moldorm Bounce need it for the Ganon's Tower climb, of course. I mentioned Moldorm Bounce because I actually did see MrByer pull that off in a race recently. There is a hammer on the island, and we're going to get that right away using a glitch called Funny Auto Walk Thing, and you'll see why it's called that in a second.
Yeah, by being on the very edge of the screen there when transitioning, for some reason the game decides to walk you quite a way down, and here it just happens to get you straight to the island.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect this to be accessible with major glitches because there's nothing involving the water at all. You're just skipping the water entirely. And we've got pendants already on the map for I believe that was Desert in Tower of Hera.
Yeah. And we're seeing our first divergence here, so Nash is heading over to Sahasrara. This is pretty common and probably what he would have done, if there was nothing on Hylia Island. It tends to be hard to loop this in particularly easily any other time, so you often see people coming here early. But MrByer's decided to go straight to Sank and start on the forest loop.
Neither of them finding anything so far besides the hookshot and hammer, which are admittedly very good items. Now, I talked about hookshot being required, but it's also really nice to have for Hera if you wanted to clear the dungeon and get to Swamp. We don't expect you to do Hera Pot, but people are going to do it anyway, because it's a lot easier than what the logic expects, which is to go through Mire.
Both players doing Lost Woods from the south here, so I'm guessing we'll see them both go up the mountain at the end of this.
Maybe. I've seen people do this if they don't want to do the mountain at all. I know MrByer likes to lumberjack ascent, so climbing the mountain at a spot near the lumberjack gets him into the clouds at the top of the mountain instead of going to the old man cave directly. It gives him a couple extra checks he can do on the way down. Other people might skip lumberjack entirely, which we have seen a couple times bite people because there can be progression here. But there isn't today. It's very good. We don't like Aga seeds in this mode.
Yeah, Nash hasn't done Bonk Rocks, I don't think. Came straight over to Lost Woods, so we might either see a more traditional, or I guess, more traditional DMA, or going to CAC potentially.
That's a good point. Some people will save Bonk Rocks for when they go up the mountain. And given where he is right now, and that he has not chosen to Lumberjack DMA or Lumberjack Death Mountain Ascent, he probably does intend to just hit up Bonk Rocks and then clip to the mountain from there.
MrByer going right into Hera from that Lumberjack DMA.
Yeah, one advantage to that in this mode in particular is the first two items don't have to be a key. So you're more likely to just find both items. And we did find one. We got a map and a heart piece in Tower of Hera.
Here we see Nash showing as the other DMA, but it's gone slightly wrong here, ended up on the top here. But you can just clip on here and dash down. And you get into the cave anyway. It's a nice safety if things do go wrong when your camera's not quite right.
It's a really good backup, and it's also nice. He didn't have to correct his camera there, but it is nice that he showed us what is actually happening when you're doing that clip. You're wrapping the screen and landing on top of what would be bumper ledge, but the ledge above it, and then you're supposed to hop down a couple times to get to the cave. So we got simultaneous Old Man Dark Rooms from two different directions, both of them using different navigation tools. You can use your boots dust. You always have the boots in this mode. It's not on the tracker right now, but we do start with them in glitch modes. It's really easy to take those for granted.
Yeah, one of the benefits with glitch mode starting with boots, you can do a lot of one-frame clips without them, but it's not very fun. So thankfully we start with them.
Yeah, it makes the Old Man Cave play a little bit more viable because you always have something to navigate with. Nash is trying to do a descent to Graveyard Ledge. He didn't quite make it. It looks like MrByer is doing the same thing, showing us how you can hit that transition in just the right way. Buffer up a little bit, and you can land on the rock and pick it up without the mitts to go to King's Tomb.
And a bow.
Yeah,
So
King's Tomb. King's Tomb is easy to put off. It's kind of like the hobo. You can clip to it from a save and quit really easily, but you can also just not do that and put it off for a long time.
And Nash here showing the other check you can do out of this, which is Graveyard Ledge. MrByer also doing it. It's a pretty common one to do early. You can get some bombs, gets you an item here, and because your camera's broken from coming down the mountain, you can also go into Houlihan, so get some free money, and route potentially South Shore out of this, or anything from Link's house.
Both of them are getting rewarded for delaying Kakariko. Finding the magic powder. If they can get something in their magic bar, they can check magic bat when they get to Kakariko. And they don't even have to clip to it. They have the hammer.
But it might be a while before Nash ends up getting that bow. Could not be. I mean, he's in fact going and picking up one of the easy to isolate checks over here, which is Hobo. You can do this clip, which lets you get a fake flipper directly under the bridge.
Very nicely done.
Really nice.
It looks like MrByer is going for the same check and rewarded with the Cane of Samaria. Both of them are following each other very closely in this race. All right, Nash is going for King's Tomb. Both of them are just lockstep in terms of checks done. It's kind of spooky to see. That dash method I've seen him use a couple times looks kind of nice. You don't have to do nearly as many clips to get through. You could also do a hook speed clip, but if you tend to do these checks early, you don't always have spin speed or hook speed available. So that would be the check. That would be the method you'd want to learn because you can always do it.
Yeah, we saw MrByer do the hook speed version of it. Yeah, that clip is, I think, deceptively quite tricky. Just there's a little bit of setup you've got to do, and if your subpixels aren't right, it can go horribly wrong, and you can soft lock very easily. So
yeah,
having a consistent setup is very useful.
So we got South Shore check now. This is kind of a bold move, but MrByer is armed to the teeth with pretty much everything except a sword. So I think this is a smart play as long as he can survive the crabs. And he gets magic out of the mold worms. This is going to allow him to check magic bat, although the Cane of Samaria would have allowed it to with the fake powder.
So both players still avoiding CAC, but a bit of divergence now. Mountain versus South Shore. MrByer not having enough money for Zora here, so unless he ends up picking up some more money, we'll possibly have to leave that.
Yeah, both of these are also rather dangerous in terms of the enemies. There's enemies here that can one-shot both of them on their current HP. The hookshot is going to help them get through, but you know, this is a rather... We almost saw MrByer get clipped by a crab there. That was very close, but he makes it. MrByer is on 3/4 of a heart. So pray for him that we don't get a heart piece in the waterfall, because he will get dunked if that happens. Oh no, there it is, the dunk heart.
Oh, the first one as well.
I saw that coming. Oh, it always happens. And now you've isolated the other check. You can't really get that water walk without the moon pearl. So you'd have to come back for it later. Kind of a shame he actually has splash deletion. If he gets the moon pearl when he comes up the mountain, he could descend and go to Zora and then arm splash delete. But he would have to have the moon pearl for that. Otherwise, he has to get another water walk. And it isn't logic to take a water walk to waterfall to open those chests. So the Moon Pearl could just be sitting in that other chest that he didn't get. Meanwhile, it doesn't appear that Nash has found anything on the Mountain of Worth. So he's going to follow MrByer into South Shore and maybe show us what's in that other chest. He also has enough money to check Zora.
And MrByer heading over to Kakariko, probably thinking just that. If the Moon Pearl is in this part of the loop, then it makes that mountain play a lot nicer. And you're going to come to Kakariko eventually at some point.
You can't put it off forever. The benefit of putting off Kakariko is you find things like the powder or the bottle that let you do a little bit more than you could have done earlier and not have to isolate checks, because that can come back and bite you. And there's the Moon Pearl in Blind's Hut, so he'll be able to get back in the waterfall with Splash Delete.
And so the game really is blown wide open with that Moon Pearl. Just the Moon Pearl alone, most of the Dark World overworld is available to them. They can hop down from the mountain, so a lot of options.
Yeah, one particularly interesting option they have is to go to Thieves Town. With the hammer, they can full clear it, but they will have to use something other than a sword to fight blind, which can be dangerous on this equipment. The Cane of Samaria is probably their best option, but they do have the hammer as well.
Yeah, I'd expect to see Samaria if that's what they choose. With an early bow and a hammer as well, Pod is very much available. Not fully in logic without the lamp, but...
Yeah, it's rather dangerous going to the Dark Turtles with their current equipment, but if they were feeling bold enough, they could do that. So here's a splash deletion from nashsauter, and he's going to go in. I'm trying to figure out where he's going with this. Do we not see him arm the water rock from Ice Rod Cave? Because he won't be able to check Waterfall. Yeah, he's just going to land here. Did he get dunked?
I didn't see. Something must have gone wrong though. As you say, both those chests are in logic, so...
I didn't see him die.
Beyond the mind of both players.
Magic that giving us nothing but peace of mind. We don't have to come back here again. And actually, the Moon Pearl was really the only thing of note in Kakariko. Admittedly, a very important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, in glitch mode, it's pretty common for Kakariko to be a lot less exciting, just because there's so many places your aim can be, and especially in this seed, they've already got so much.
Okay, MrByer found the flippers, so he doesn't even have to splash delete. This gives him a really nice opportunity to descend the mountain. After doing the mountain checks, he can just drop down to Zora's domain and do all those checks that he missed out on. He'll have enough money for Zora, and he'll be able to get that last waterfall chest as well. One thing he won't be able to do, though, which is kind of a shame, is he won't be able to just dip into the Dark World and do Hookshot Cave. And there's silver arrows sitting on the desert ledge. Which, yeah, we're in desert now. You can clip down from CAC. People tend to treat this as overworld because it's 2 checks you can get, up to 2 checks you can get in the front of desert.
It can be a little disappointing to see the other bow so easily available when it's definitely possible to have missed that first one in King's Tomb.
Oh, that's true. Neither of them knows that the other one did King's Tomb, so they might be feeling like they have an advantage from having done this out of the way check. Both of them also did Hobo and might be feeling ahead because of it.
A little freezer from nashsauter over here, but we know there's not much exciting in Kakariko. Other than that,
we got bottle number 4 already. We haven't even left the light world. If only we got these items in no logic, right? And we got a mirror too, so we don't have to think about desert anymore unless we're pulling the pedestal. Very nice. This is why we treat this as overworld, because you can just find some good stuff here.
And for MrByer, that mirror is going to be pretty nice. It's going to let him route in both light and dark world mountain in one go. It's just a tiny time save there, but I imagine we'll be seeing that sooner rather than later, especially with Zora and Catfish out there.
Alright, so we got a little bit more safety coming out of Agina's cave. We have blue mail, which is going to make the blind play a little bit more safe. But the runners are probably going to want to know if that's even a crystal before they go there. Now, usually what people will do is they'll pop into the Dark World portal up here, check their map, and then decide where to go from there. Because from the mountain, you can go a lot of different places. One of the ones that MrByer can do right now is Hookshot Cave. And now that he has the mirror, he can actually do that first and then mirror and do Paradox Cave, and then drop down to Zora and Catfish. So that's a really nice route that's available to him now that wasn't before. And we do see a pendant at Thieves Town. So that Samaria blind play is looking a lot less appealing. Now this is an interesting way to check Spec Rock. He's having trouble finding a mirror spot though, because how often do you mirror here?
Hasn't he already checked Spec Rock? Is this a pod play?
Oh, it is a pod play. Ooh. Wow, you have all of East Step Mountain available to you, and you go to pod without the lamp and fire rod. I appreciate the guts.
I love it.
Good. Maybe he does everything except Helmasaur, or maybe he just powers through it. I would personally be afraid to go in here on this equipment. He's facing a rather difficult set of dark rooms coming up ahead.
Yeah, those mini Helmers. Not mini Helmers.
So yeah, Spectacle Rock is linked to pod. If you clip through a diagonal wall, you kind of fall off the bottom of the underworld map and land inside pod. And now he can mirror and do Eastern. Oh, that's interesting. It looks like he held up instead of down.
Yeah, he just did his inputs wrong. When you're coming out of there, you want to hold down. And it, for whatever reason, pops you back in. But if you hold up to try and get back in, it clips you out and you can't get back in from that point.
Okay, so he's taking a shortcut here now. The reason he went that other way first was I think he wanted to know if pod was a crystal before taking the plunge. Because that informs his decision to go to Helmasaur or not. But this time he can just clip directly to Spectacle Rock Cave using this shortcut that some of us call Kiki. Oh, you got mold-wormed.
So he makes his way into pod this time properly. We'll be able to, well, potentially full clear this and then go straight into Eastern from here. So.
Yeah, we don't open these chests in cave state because when you're still in a cave, the game is just going to assign any keys you find to the cave and not to the dungeon, effectively deleting them. So we have to correct our dungeon ID before opening any chests. Ooh, a nice glove on the renal bridge chest in pod. And we will need that for Ice Palace. We don't need 2 gloves, we only need 1.
So we'll see where Nash ends up going here. If he follows suit into pod, or we maybe see either a Death Mountain play. Oh, straight over to Death Mountain.
Oh, he's not even checking
Not
his
even-
map.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't Dungeons, so it kind of doesn't really make sense for him to check his map unless he had other options on the mind, but I think he just really wanted to go here because he has Hookshot Cave available to him and Catfish. And then I'm a little unclear on what he left behind at Zora's Domain, but he can get those too if he needs them.
Yeah, I expect we'll see him go down and do Catfish and Zora. He could go into TR from here. Make his way into Turtle Rock and do some checks. No Fire Rod though, so
Yeah, I know he paid Zora. That's the only thing I know he did. I don't know if he did the waterfall. All right, MrByer has taken the steer launch to the back of pod. nashsauter has to clip to Hookshot Cave because he doesn't have the glove. So he's going to wrap his screen and land in the back entrance. All right, we find a mushroom growing in the dark, as they tend to do. Nothing of note in Hookshot Cave.
nope, still 1 chest left to do, but
Just 20 rupees. I kind of like that route. I don't know if it's faster, but it looks smoother because it doesn't put you on the wrong entrance. So I guess he already did Super Bunny Cave and then dropped down and didn't find anything
yeah, I think
there.
he did Super Bunny first, so over to Catfish and those Zora checks that got left.
We have Quake for Turtle Rock, but we don't care so much about the TR medallion because Turtle Rock has 4 entrances and we can access all of them.
Sometimes it can be logically required, right, depending on how keys are laid out in there, but very rarely is it actually required with our extra glitch knowledge.
Okay, here's our waterfall check. We're going to see a chest that MrByer didn't open. He got the full refill too, but he wasn't water walking, so he's fine. Ooh, it's returning blue potions. Yeah, we want those. You can use them for a glitch called Fake Flute, where you use that potion on a transition and it puts you in the flute menu. So it's a nice way to get around the dark world quickly. You can even use it in the light world for a shortcut. The other check was just a shield, so MrByer's not missing out on anything, but he probably will pick that up after Catfish.
Ooh, are we seeing a Pyramid Fairy play here over on Nash's side?
Quite possibly this could also be a super jump or a Ganon's Tower play. There's a couple places you can get to from here. This is looking like a Ganon's Tower play.
Looks like it.
Now when you have the hookshot and hammer and a bow, you can go all the way to Ice Armos. There's no junk fill, so there could be a lot of progression here, potentially. We also have the cane, so if we were to find the fire rod here, we could full clear the whole thing.
Yeah, no fire source means that right side, well, apart from tile room, is going to be cut off for now.
Yeah, as well as the
GT often has some good stuff in, so we might well see one of our fire sources.
Yeah, he's gonna go straight for a tile room, because if he doesn't do it now, and it's like the fire rod, he might never come back. That's a pretty safe play to make right now. We often do tile room in glitch modes because we're here to search for items, not just to climb.
Got MrByer leaving pod now and heading over to Eastern.
Understandable. He's on 2.5 hearts and does not have any safeties for the dark maze, or not the dark maze, but he did the dark maze. The part on the way to Helmasaur. He can always get back here quickly with the clip, so I can see why you'd put that off. He also might find something nice here, like a fire rod, and that would make the dark turtles a lot easier for him. So I think the thought in his mind was do pod because it's on the way to Eastern. But don't commit to doing Helmasaur because it's pretty easy to return to. No, I wasn't paying attention. Did he actually try to do the Dark Turtles and die?
I do not know. We are seeing the big key on the left side here.
Yeah, so Fire Source is preventing us from climbing. Hopefully Nash knows that and doesn't try.
And I imagine he does. With that early tile room play, that shows he's very aware that he doesn't have a Fire Source here and can't do at least full GT access.
Okay, Chad is confirming that MrByer deliberately mirrored out of Dark Maze after completing it and chose not to go to the back at all.
Hearts. You know, that's not a death right there. That's
a good point.
A purposeful choice.
Right. When you die, you respawn with a different number of hearts. You can go back into pod. I don't remember how you have to position yourself at the mirror portal, but he probably just plans to do it later. Might not even be an item on Helmasaur. Might just be some cleanup at the end of the seed.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he went back without finding a Fire Source there. Just because it's so easy to get back, as you say.
GT is coming up empty for Nash, having only found the Cane of Burma and the big key so far, and maybe a shovel. I see a shovel in his inventory, but I don't remember where he got it. The shovel can be easily routed though, because he hasn't done any of the main Dark World that he can mirror from Snumpy and check it.
MrByer dropping down to pick up a fairy there. Pretty good idea. Just makes it a lot safer to go through the back, and this dark room can go out of control sometimes.
Yeah, those Igors do a whole heart of damage no matter what mail you're on. Oh, he hookshotted the torch by accident. So I think he wants to reset the room. Maybe he was trying to use the bow instead of the hookshot. Oh, he turns off his silver arrows to reduce lag. Probably a smart move. Because lag can mess up your timing in rooms like this. Alright, Bombos. Behind Ice Armos. That's a full clear of Ice Palace available if he goes to pod and gets that glove. He needs a sword to use Bombos, so he can't quite go there just yet, but that is very much in reach for one of the two runners, depending on whether they cross paths or not.
Seeing him decide how to climb the mountain. There's so many things you can do from that spot, it can be a little hard to work out which one you want to do.
You know what I didn't think about? Nash has Swamp Palace available to him conveniently as well. He has a hammer in the mirror. So he's climbing Tower of Hera, and I think that what he's doing is a technique developed by Philistine recently, that is not subpixel dependent. It's cool to see new tech already in use. There you go. But I think what he's doing is looking for that small key. There is another item up here, but I almost feel like it's really a play for the small key and access to Swamp Palace. You're not supposed to use the small key in Swamp from Hera, but it's a heck of a lot more convenient than using the MrByer key that you're supposed to use. Yeah, we can kind of see that because he already found both items and he's continuing. I don't think this is a play for Pedestal, although it is pretty available once you get to Fire Source. I think he's playing for that key.
Absolutely, it speeds things up so much, and as you say, we may well see a Swamp play straight away if the small key's there.
Yeah,
and
the nice thing is,
there are options.
If he does find the small key, he can safely use it because there's no item in the Hera basement. But the small key is not guaranteed to be available. It might just be in Hera basement.
Yeah, and if we don't see the small key here, there are options. As you say, the game expects you to use a MrByer small key, but there is a possibility to use a high roll. There is a way we can get from Hera over to Hyrule and steal that potentially.
All right, very good. This is exactly what you wanted Moldorn to drop. Skipping the pendant, showing he has no interest in that pedestal at the moment. He's got his eyes on Swamp Palace, and we'll see how. We're pretending this is a MrByer key, but we're gonna do Swamp the hybrid major glitches way, which is very fun to do. Effectively turning the dungeon inside out.
Really nice bomb clip there.
Curious why he mirrors out. I don't think that was intentional. Maybe he doesn't know he has the hammer. Because he's playing like he doesn't have the hammer.
Yeah, he certainly didn't need to there. He could have just hammered and carried on going.
Yeah, that Haripot setup looks really nice. I'm going to start adopting it, I think.
So we got MrByer going into TR here. Going from the back. This actually isn't in logic. The game doesn't expect you to do this. But if you want to go and play a TR, it's often the best way of doing it. There's very often a lot of items back here, and you can go back to front potentially. Although it's unlikely to be able to do Trihex in this go round without either of the rods.
Yeah, correct. It's out of logic because we don't have a lamp. If nothing else, we're supposed to clip in through the middle and then go forward. But we also missing the fire rod, so if there's... Ooh, please don't Tethel. We already saw one of those this tournament.
And Nash getting a second bomb clip through really nicely as well. Well practiced at that.
Yeah, I would maybe consider taking out that cape that he just found. But he's going to go for the laser skips. So Nash is deliberately walking past chests. Unfortunately, he's bailed out by the stair glitch. I hope he remembers that he needs a key. Look at that. The stair glitch saved his life. He needs this key to unlock the door on the other side.
That would have been so sad if
stair glitch has your back, man. Let's go. I don't even know when it triggers. I don't understand how to predict it. I don't think he was expecting to get kicked back downstairs, but probably saw the closed door and was like, oh shoot, I'm stuck, and then got bailed out.
But yeah, if he had made it up there with that locked door, He wouldn't have really had any other options than go back to Hera and come back through to get a small key.
Oh no!
Unless there was a small key. Unless there's a small key in the front chest of Swamp. The only way to really unlock that door is from Hera.
MrByer was trying to hit the switch with the cane, but somehow got the block on a position that didn't trigger the switch when it was detonated. And he was depending on that switch to be unhit, so he took a death. Nash also got fake world trolled, trying to mirror to the dam, but just ended up back on the swamp screen again, because when you're in the fake dark world, coming out of the light world, the mirror will just take you to the real dark world instead of the real light world. And we got a compass in the first chest of Swamp, confirming that it is locked by MrByer. This is a sequence break if Meyer is not Bombos, because the medallion for Meyer will not be in here, and we get a sword. It's a really good find.
Very happy to see that.
Allowing us to use the Bombos medallion as well if we decide to go into ice after finding that glove. Interestingly, that is not your logical first sword. We're supposed to get our first sword somewhere else and use it to open Meyer with the medallion. So that sword is a sword lock sword.
Has MrByer found the big key here? He's going out and doing mimics on the way back.
Yeah, this is the correct play when you don't have rods for Trinecks. There's no hope to just mirror out and do Trinecks. He's not expecting to be able to do that, so he's just full clearing the place. And if he doesn't do this now, he might never come back to it. This also allows him to mirror back with the big key and open the big chest if he finds it. But the big key might get locked behind the fire rod, and he might not be able to pick that up. Oh, nice. Going for the arrow strats on the Pokey. The silver arrows are not as effective on Pokies as you might expect them to be, because Pokies are actually like multiple enemies. So even though each component can get killed by the silver arrow, it takes a couple hits to kill them.
Really nicely done. This is not an easy TR on this equipment set.
No, he really didn't have a better way to deal with that Pokey. It would have been that or the hammer. Or the cane. Which, I pity anybody who... Okay, so Ether is in Swamp. We actually know that's not for Meyer. So that tells us that Meyer is either Quake or Bombos. And MrByer finds a sword in TR. That could be the logical first sword to get into Swamp.
That is in logic. Not nice to get to, but...
There's a whole slew of items that can lock Swamp Palace. I never really considered sword as one of them until now. But you do need a sword to use the medallion. And the big key, that's really good. I think, let's see what, oops, not intended. Okay, there's a small key. So only one of the chests that are fire locked is a small key. That's not great for him. He's gonna have to leave that behind until he eventually comes back. Another sword in Swamp.
Second sword.
Oh my goodness. 2 out of logic swords in Swamp. Probably locked behind that one MrByer found. There's always a sword in Swamp. Except yesterday. Yesterday there was always a hammer in Swamp. It's a good find for Argus, though. It makes a fight a little bit easier. Like, yeah, you can get the double spins with the fighter sword, but if you were to miss those, you can just slash, like what he's doing right now. You wouldn't have that option with the fighter sword.
I like this, routing TR straight into Paradox and the rest of the Light World mountain.
Oh, that is rather smart. You could just drop right off of the Spiral Cave. Yeah, you could just mirror to Spiral Cave. That's what he was doing.
Exactly what he did.
That's cool. That's like entrance routing.
Yeah, this will be a really neat route that lets him do TR but also doesn't leave Catfish, which can often be a worry when you make your way into TR early.
One thing I've noticed about MrByer, and I think it stems from his experience just playing daily challenges on his own, is that his routing is very unique and innovative. Because he didn't learn from the Mentor Tournament or from watching other glitch runners. Like, he just learned on his own, playing these seeds. So we get to see things that, like, frankly, I haven't even thought of.
And so he has to pop back up here to get into the Dark World. Thankfully, with the hammer, he can do the pegs. Doesn't need mitts. Just teleports up. That'll let him clean up this Dark World mountain and probably head over and do Catfish into the Zora checks he ends up leaving behind. And Nash, now in the real Dark Worlds, gets to root out the overworld straight from Swamp.
Kind of neat, his first access to the Dark World was through a dungeon. Again, very entrance-like, but through very different means. He doesn't have any bombs.
Ooh, no bombs.
There's a bush crab here. If he mirrors, he can get bombs. I don't know if he remembers that, though.
You could also just go buy them. A little bit slower.
Yeah, there's a bomb shop. It doesn't just sell the orange bomb. It also sells the blue ones for a hefty markup. I think this bomb shop just fills your bomb counter. So if you have, all the bomb upgrades, it'll fill them. But it does mean that if you only have 10, you're paying top dollar for them. All right, MrByer is going to get his peace of mind checking Catfish and Zora together. He wasn't able to do Zora or the right chest in Waterfall last time he was here.
Ooh, Fire and Hype Cave as well. It's nice.
All right, MrByer likes fake fluting. He's a fan of it, so he's going to fill up on blue potions. I think even one fake flute would save all the time he gets if he uses it wisely. I've seen him do some pretty cool routes where he starts in Village of Outcasts and then skips Village of Outcasts, goes south, and then clips back from Hammer Pegs using a hookshot clip that you can do to get out of there. Man, he's thirsty for those blues. I think he has 3 now.
Looks like we're going to see Nash head into Mire area and see if we've actually got Mire access, and if any of that swamp is actually logically accessible. Oh, changed his mind, heading over to race game first.
Interesting. Well, we know it's not Ether.
Yeah, it's a 50-50. I mean, he also doesn't have logical access to it, even if it is Bombos, because those two swords, for him, are out of logic, although we know where a logical sword is.
Yeah, and that logical sword is not very kind. Although with the fire rod, it's a little better. He might go to TR sooner because of that fire rod. It's not a bad play to go without the ice rod because you can just get back to China X super easily with a mirror wrap.
And he can get in.
I see MrByer frozen on screen, heading towards a screen transition with a blue potion out. Oh yeah, this is it. He likes to do it on this screen. There's Quake in Meyer Shed. Probably a doormat key for Meyer. There we go.
No.
This is what I mean. He's going to do a route I've seen him do before. He's going to skip all of Village of Outcasts and probably go all the way to the pyramid. And then from the pyramid, maybe do the escape or maybe skip it. From there, he can clip to Hammer Pegs and then use a clip that gets you past the fence at Hammer Pegs and skips the mids requirement. And then do Village of Outcasts. So Meyer was Bombos. I wonder if Quake for TR was logically required, or if it's just sitting there because it has to be somewhere. I know it's not required for the sword, because the sword was just accessible through chain jumps. MrByer does not have Bombos. I forgot where that was.
GT ice on this. But without, he also hasn't got the fire rod from Hype Cave, so even if he did have Bombos, we might have seen him skip Maya regardless.
Oh, this would be a pretty bad play because you can't get the chests in here. And if you wanted to unlock Swamp, you'd have to do a 1-frame clip to get through because you'd have to move the wall. It's not a bad clip. It's just inconvenient. You're skipping chests in Mire. That never feels good.
Nash running out of magic before being able to light all the torches. Gonna have to do this.
Oh, that sucks. And MrByer is walking past Dig Spot because he didn't go to GT and get the shovel. So if there's something important there, it might be a while before he comes back for it.
We saw Nash look at that. I don't think it was important.
Nothing good. Right, he would have already done it. Okay, so Fire Rod for MrByer. He could go back to TR and pick up whatever is in that one chest he left behind, but probably will not be doing that until Ice Rod. I don't even know if it's an item. Wow. Okay, not only did Nash do the door state extension, but he canceled his dash so he doesn't go down the stairs. That takes a good degree of confidence because you have to expect to succeed and be ready to cancel the dash.
I'm seeing Pyramid Ledge over here from MrByer. It's interesting routing. Oftentimes when you've got Mirror, you'll see Pyramid Ledge. along with Pyramid Fairy.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
this
I
just
think
roots very nicely.
he could mirror to Uncle and check that, but doing so would orphan the Pyramid Fairy. So I think he's going to put it off until he's done with the Dark World loop. Because he can do Thieves Town if he wants to. It's a pendant. But he can also do Skullwoods, and that's a crystal that he can clear. Weird bonk.
And GT is almost certainly calling.
Oh, absolutely.
Got everything he needs for it now, so...
Yeah, the only thing he's really missing is something that makes the gauntlet better. He's going to have to use a lot of fighter sword strats, or potentially
the potions.
He needs to bomb this, and he knows it. So he's going to bomb the bushes here to clear up the space. If you have a longer sword, you can just slash, but he only has fighter. This clip that he's doing is actually no glitches legal. So if you're playing cross keys, you can do this. But it definitely sees more use in glitch modes because you come from hammer pigs from an out of bounds location. Okay, Nash has... Okay, he's fine. He has powder. He also has silvers, so this fight shouldn't be too bad.
Should be a fairly safe fight.
He was actually in more danger from the fire snake than from Vitreous. Alright, very nice. Got a small key. If we didn't already have Cane of Samaria, we could have concluded that the small key locks the Samaria in Swamp. But we already have it, so we don't care. Yeah, small key on Vidi also locks Samaria in the... I believe it locks the Samaria in the Firelock side of Meyer as well.
I'm seeing MrByer skip straight over Thieves and go to Skull.
Understandable.
Makes a lot of sense.
He has so much available to him. He hasn't done yet. In his mind, Swamp is out of logic. But as soon as he goes to GT and finds Bombos, he'll probably be thinking Swamp. He'll also be thinking Ice Palace, which is also a crystal. So going to GT next will open up the seed for him in a lot of ways. Nanash is taking that Underworld clip to Pod, but this time he has fire, so we're probably going to see Helmasaur on his side. We didn't see it on MrByer's side.
Yeah, being in kind of an Ice Rod go mode here, although both runners actually need something else, we know where they are.
In fact, Nash is going to find it really soon here. He's going to find the glove.
And MrByer would be treating this as an Ice Rod hunt anyway with a sword go mode. So, well, with otherwise a sword go mode.
Yeah, MrByer also needs the Bombos medallion, but he'll find it really soon if he just goes to GT.
Yeah.
Did Nash count items in Pod? Because he's routing like he's skipping Bowlock side. But I'm pretty sure I saw MrByer do the Bowlock side. Oh no, he's gonna go.
Yeah, because he didn't have a small key, so he couldn't have...
How does he not have a small key? I'm a little confused. He should have a small key if he opened it.
No, did he not?
Maybe he didn't open the door.
Freebie? He must have just gone straight out and fixed Pod, so didn't get his free small key. Which is fine. The game doesn't expect you to have that, so it places small keys to let you do it. It's just a little less efficient.
MrByer powdering the wrong enemy. To be fair, those Moldorms are annoying. It's also easy to forget to do Shooter Room. because you walk past it and you feel like you've already been in the room, so you probably already have it. And Nash is still looking for an item. Kind of looks like there were 2 keys in Bollock's side. Although I don't think they're... What is he looking for? I feel like he could have known that was a key.
Keys can be a little hard to work out, especially if, you know, he accidentally didn't get the free small key, so that throws off your count already.
Yeah, you have to change the way you count keys in pod when you're doing HMG routing. Okay, MrByer is using a glitch called Restore Health and Magic for Mothula. Actually, he doesn't need to. He just killed Moth. All right, let's go. We got an item on Moth. I missed whether the first thing was an item.
Yeah, I think he's got 2 items.
Nice. I love to see that.
I think he got a half magic.
Half magic is good. Especially on Fighter Sword. It's going to make Trinex a lot better if he comes back with the Ice Rod and doesn't have those swords in Swamp yet.
Interesting that we're seeing him leave here.
Yeah, where's he going? Is he going to go back to Thieves Town? Or is he going to fake flute somewhere? Or did he skip Bumper Ledge? Oh, you know what
I'm wondering.
He likes to do is he likes to Lumberjack DMA in the Dark World. Maybe he's going to do that. And so if he hasn't checked Bumper Ledge yet, he can walk out of here and climb the mountain in the Dark World the same way he did in the Light World and then go to GT. And I think that's what he's doing. He also has the mirror, but I think he already did all the checks here, so he doesn't need to worry about King's Tomb or anything like that. Yeah, this is exactly what this is. Lumberjack DMA out of Bumper Ledge.
Yeah, some really interesting routing here. Creative.
Ooh, taking advantage of the full health and magic, he gets a Mothula to do Spike Cave on full HP and magic. Rewarded with red mail, which is actually kind of nice to have if he's going to be facing a Fighter Sword Gauntlet. And he's already done Death Warping. He doesn't need to be on low HP for the rest of the seed.
We are seeing Nash take that Fire Rod and head back to Helma here, so this will be our first look at Helma.
We're also going to get to see a lot more of Ganon's Tower. Just pretty exciting. If the Ice Rod is here, this is a really, really fast seed for MrByer. As long as he opens chests in Swamp looking for a sword, he'll find them because they're on the way.
And there's still one sword we don't know, so, which could be in GT. Helmet by Nash there. Soul's making the phase 2 very easy.
There was an item too, so we might see MrByer come back here, not as his last dungeon, but as his next dungeon, because it's something you can just get over with. It doesn't get better than just clipping there at any time. Maybe he hopes that he finds a lamp somewhere on the way, making it a little faster to get to. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the sword, given he has silver arrows, but it could make the turtles better.
And MrByer picking up his bombos, and I imagine we'll be seeing Compass Room now. And maybe Tile Room on the way first. Ooh, aggressively climbing here.
Oh, that is aggressive.
He thought about it, went to Hope Room, and decided to mirror and climb instead.
Yeah, you are in one item from go mode. So if it's here, you save Tile Room and all of right side.
I mean, he still does need swords as well.
He does. But I think he's thinking, it's not that hard to get back up here. He just has to commit to it, right? Commit to coming back if he doesn't find anything up here. And then it's not as big a risk as it could have been. If you're saying, I'm never coming back here, then it becomes dangerous. But I think if you're saying, I'll do all the crystals, and then if it's not there, I'll come back. That's a very reasonable play to be making. On the other hand, it does mean that if there was something nice like a sword, he is missing out on having a better sword for the climb. Also true that he can just spam bombos if he wants to. He has plenty of magic. He has blue potions. He's got a lot.
Yeah, he can just spam Fire Rod all he wants as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's really in any danger. It'll slow him down. It's not going to kill him, though. Alright, getting some nice spike hits on the red Zazax, reducing them to just a couple slashes to kill instead of 4. Is it 4 or is it 3? I don't even remember. I think it's actually 3.
Yeah, I would think it was 3. I don't know, Fire Sand.
It's confusing because
you hope to not use it.
The red enemies in the overworld take 4, but I think the Zazax are 3. Nash is checking Sahasrar's closet. Oh no, he's gonna clip up to the mushroom. Yeah, you already did that.
Sahasra early, so
he opened with it. Yeah, this clip gets you up to the witch. As long as he fixes that transition before taking it, I'll be fine. Ooh, he's having a little trouble getting cardinals on these walkways. I find that difficult as well. Like, it's rather unforgiving. If you get a diagonal in, it'll just teeter you. Where is he going with this blue potion? He has not been to the back of Escape yet. Because he just got the glove, and I don't think MrByer has either. So this is new for us.
Nope.
And the lamp is at the top of Ganon's tower, of course.
Not needed, but it'll speed up that pod clear when MrByer goes and does it.
It is quite nice, and also Mire. Dark Mire is fine, but it'd be a lot nicer with a lamp. But no Ice Rod in the GT climb.
Looks like Nash is heading over to Ice Palace. No mitts, so can't get in there normally, but we'll do that.
Nash is being very careful with this hard lock transition. And gets it. Yeah, we don't really know who's ahead. It's really going to depend on who finds that Ice Rod first.
Yeah, this is very, very classic Ice Rod hunt here.
Just complete toss-up. The worst place it could be for MrByer is the Firelock chest in TR, because he's not going to come back there. He already has the big key. So he's pretty much done with TR until Ice Rod. So if it's there, he's not going to get that anytime soon. But Nash can go to TR with full equipment except Ice Rod and open all the chests.
Yeah, I guess we'll see the clearable crystals first, but after that, TR is very tempting with its 5 items. Will we see our first look at Uncle here on MrByer's side? Looks like we will. He finds the 4th sword there, so if he ends up in go mode before he does swamp, we may see him skip those and run with Master Sword. So fresh checks on both sides here. Nash making his way through ice. Yeah, the amount of effort MrByer went to get his sword from TR. It is a little bit sad when there's one sitting there. It was potentially very easy to get with that mirror, along with Pyramid Fairy, but with a seed like this, with so many items early on, he had a lot of options, so it's very, very reasonable. Not to have gone there earlier, and it really paid off. It's not looking good for Hyrule Castle over here. A nice cold stare kill over there by Nash. Doing a good job of cleaning up crystals here. Only one left that he can get with Skull Woods, and then also obviously the GT climb still to do.
Yeah, MrByer still has a little bit to go with swamping and logic. Where was the sword?
There was a sword in Uncle.
Of course there
Just
was.
sitting there.
It's Uncle.
It's right there.
He doesn't
still
need...
for that.
That's vanilla. Just a good old vanilla sword just sitting there. Alongside the vanilla swords in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, it's very likely Nash will find Tempered here with the one over in TR. We'll have to see if MrByer gets the ones from Swamp. The earlier he does it, the more likely he is to pick them up.
I wonder where he's going. This looks like a Meyer play. This is what you do in the speedrun before Super Jump was the faster way to get there. This is what I do in the speedrun. Let's put it that way. You can do a bomb clip even with the hammer. It's a little faster to get out this way. But it's also extremely handy when you don't have the hammer. Did MrByer ever come back for that shovel?
I don't remember him doing it.
Yeah, he might just have his eyes set on the crystals, thinking the shovel's a little out of the way.
Yeah, he's certainly been playing quite aggressively towards crystals and the things he needs to do. So, and we're going to get our first look over at Compass Room here.
Right, if the ice rod is here, this is a huge lead for Nash. He will be missing out on... He'll actually get the sword from TR, because it is upstream of the big key.
Yeah,
I'll have to open that chest. So both players are going to finish on a tempered or butter sword.
And we are getting down to it in terms of places that ice rod could be. Let's see if he finds it here.
Yeah, you're right. We've seen all of the items in Pendant Dungeons except the entirety of Thieves Town.
Yeah,
the whole thing is
one
missing.
Thieves.
Nobody wants to go there.
We still have at least one check in TR.
Super not happening because both runners have no incentive to go back to these other pendants that don't have items. In fact, we already saw the small key from Moldworm, and the pendant just completely ignored.
Although that, he may need to go back for it. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, there's no book, so we can't just check ped. We're gonna have to blind pull it. MrByer might want to use a potion. But if you can
Might
powder
be
this berry,
powdering here, yeah.
this powder always gets me killed when I try it. I always get nervous when I see people going for it on 1 HP. And this is a rather frustrating seed. I think we've actually seen all of the crystals, and none of them have the ice rod. Except maybe that one chest in TR that MrByer left behind.
So MrByer, sorry, Nash here with a slightly easier gauntlet than MrByer. He has Master instead of Fighter, although still mostly using the silvers here. Yeah, really nothing to see until they're all done with those crystal dungeons. It's going to be a bit of a catch-up game for both of them as they converge on these pendants that the ice rod is probably in. How much overworld is left besides Smith Chain? That's what I'm trying to think. Have we seen Checkerboard? We must have. Yeah, we have. So this should be a nice, easy viddy fight for MrByer. And a nice hammer mold on over on Nash's side.
Nice sync boss kills. Alright, MrByer is going back in. Now he's not going to gamble on small key being available on Hera. And I don't even think it's really necessarily faster to do Swamp from Hera when he's already here, if he still has to find the key. Which means we will get to see all of the Underworld clips that the watcher can expect.
Yeah, this is probably the least commonly seen one, just because you can so often skip it by going straight from Hera.
Alright, if MrByer opens this chest, he'll have found both items in Hera. And he realizes that, turns away from the big chest, and goes to clip to Swamp Palace. Imagine we'll see probably the entirety of Swamp from him as well, given how little is left to him.
Absolutely. And we're seeing him do the other clip to get in, where we saw Nash do a bomb clip. MrByer here is dashing.
And Nash is taking hammer pegs from the pyramid moat, which to him right now is probably the only opportunity he has to do it until he does Pyramid Fairy.
Ooh, when we're seeing Nash go through the portal with a broken camera. Only so many things you can do from here. We might be seeing Pyramid Fairy.
I think that's it, because he already did GT.
Yeah, unless he wanted to super jump.
I think he already did everything there too. There's nothing there for him.
So what he's done there is he's set up a portal, but because he did it after jumping down, the game thinks that mirror portal is actually over by Hyrule Castle. And by resetting the screen by going into the old man cave, he's able to pop down here. He's got to make his way over to Hyrule Castle, which he can do via Houlihan. Not often you see people drop into there with no rupees. And the mirror portal is right there, and that happens to be exactly the spot you need it to be in to be able to make your way into this Pyramid Fairy without the red bomb.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate to see both of these runners taking really impressive, innovative routes through the Dark World, only to end up in a pendant hunt ice rod scenario. Like, they're just going to full clear all the crystals in a different order, and it's not going to matter what they did, because they're just going to have to go back to Thieves Town or some other check that we might not have thought about, but I'm pretty sure it's just Thieves Town and Ped at this point, and that one chest in DR. I guess Green Pendant is available for runners who want to go back to Desert Palace. Nobody is anywhere near Desert, though, so Green Pendant is going to be something they do on the way to a blind ped pull.
Yeah, with MrByer skipping out on that when he was over in Maya, it's very likely to be late.
And there's that Tempered Sword for both runners, and Butter Sword for MrByer. It's a lot of swords in a short amount of time.
And we'll probably see Nash also get up to butter this seed.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid, unless you do a front to back TR where you open the front, get the big key, and then walk to Laser Bridge. I don't see that happening. MrByer also getting a poke. We saw both runners fighting Argus with silvers with their sword out. But what can happen is the silver arrow can hit Argus, and the damage can get overwritten by a sword poke, making it look like Argus just tanked a silver hit. Now, MrByer has an opportunity to take a kind of classic speedrun route to Ice Palace, except he's choosing to use the logical flippers wrap instead of the mirror wrap. I'm guessing he might think this is less prone to hard locking. And as long as he knows what he's doing, he'll be fine. Usually only hard lock this one if you are not practiced in it and don't remember the inputs. He's doing this really quickly. Like, this is one of the fastest flipper wraps I've seen somebody do. Just complete confidence.
Very practiced.
Every step of the way, he just knows what to do. He almost didn't lose time doing that over mirror wrap. Okay, so this looks like Turtle Rock for Nash. If he knows the map wrap, he can do Turtle Rock into Skullwoods and get the second item from Mothula. But that would require him to exit TR. So it would kind of require him to find the Ice Rod and fight Trinex. That's
I mean, you can. He could exit TR from the front.
I'm completely wrong. He's going somewhere else. He's going to
Skullwoods. Skull.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Taking an alternative route down the mountain. But gets there. I do think it's probably just in the first 4 of these down at this rate. It's something both runners avoided, and I think both of them are probably thinking if it's there, the race would already be over. So they're going everywhere else.
Yeah, it's one of those that's very hard to go back to. You're very rarely near it, especially without something like Flute. I will be interested to see if we see Nash go there after Scarl, or if he'll head over to the Crystal, even though he can't complete it.
Has he been here yet? Like, did he already get an item in the front? No, he wouldn't have, because he went to Hype Cave first and had the Fire Rod coming up here. So, has he actually been to Village yet?
I don't think so.
Oh, he has a lot to do. He might actually hit Thief Sound just because it's on the way and he's running out of locations. He might even be thinking, end this route at Desert and get that green pendant. No, he got Wallmaster.
Ooh.
Got knocked into the Wallmaster by the spike. Just a little bit off center from that dash. Well, this is very good for him if it's here. Even if it's not here, though, he's still in a good position to get to the other chest that it would be in, other than Pedestal or Green Pendant, because it's pretty orphaned on MrByer's side. Oh yeah, I do remember him walling this off now when he chose to go to Dig Game and then Meyer instead of Meyer and then Dig Game. Because I think he wanted to actually do Meyer. From Meyer, save quit out, possibly?
Yeah, he left from Meyer. You could have gone and finished the route, but yeah.
It's a
probably
bit awkward.
Didn't want to touch Thieves and didn't want to make that decision, especially with things opened up, so.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, with Skullwoods available, he probably wanted to route that north to south like he's doing right now, rather than south to north where he'd have to make that decision a little bit earlier than he'd be comfortable with. Very nice cold stare from MrByer. Rewarded with another crystal. Sync crystal gets.
Synced crystals.
Yeah, I think nashsauter is in the lead, though. I'm trying to think what is available other than Pedestal that can give MrByer the edge. And neither of them is closer to the Pedestal, but it does mean that nashsauter has to clean a little bit more before getting there, because he hasn't cleared out TR yet. Okay, this is probably
this is gonna be
pod.
close.
Yeah, this is going to be pod.
Yeah, clean up pod. There's still an item there. And really doesn't get any faster than now.
Okay, he's walking out. This is looking like a village play.
He still has one more item to get in Skull, I think. So yeah, he does because he hasn't got half magic. So, but this route's, this will lead him into village. The big question will be, does he dip his toes into thieves?
Yeah, this is the most efficient way to route if your intention is to do village after. You have to walk out anyway, you might as well do moth first. And if you find all 3 items, you can skip the entire front. And by 3, I mean 2. There's our half magic. Getting to skip most of Skullwoods always feels good.
MrByer dancing with the mimic there.
Yeah.
I wonder what we'll see MrByer do after pod.
I'm thinking,
I feel like
Thieves'
Thieves is sitting there.
It's it. So we might actually see a convergence with MrByer slightly in the lead if he goes to Thieves Town right away, because MrByer's already found the big key of Turtle Rock and just go straight to try next.
And it is a deep big key. I say deep, it's at the front, which is as deep as it gets in glitched modes.
I don't think he did the shovel spot though, so maybe he does a route from Thieves Town to Green Pendant to dig spot. Well, Thieves Town is backloaded. So even if they had just done first 4, they would not have been rewarded. This is a fake flute play. This looks like a fast way to get to Village of Outcasts. On the other hand, he's in the wrong world to be doing that. So he's going to have to take the portal kind of the standard way. Which I'm actually interested if taking the south portal would have been faster, but I think this is probably better. Because you could take the south portal and then fake flute. But if you miss the fake flute, you're punished for it. So yeah, this is going to be some strong convergence with... It really depends on where the ice rod is, but it sounds like they're going to follow similar paths to the remaining locations.
Interesting that MrByer never went back for Compass Room and Tile Room.
Oh, yeah, he didn't. Well, if it's here, that gives him an edge of not having to do those. But if it's not here, he's in trouble because Nash is maybe going to do TR, which will buy him some time. But It's one less thing that he has to do. Nash is frozen on my side, so
Yep.
the suspense is killing me. When he unfreezes, he'll either still be in Thieves Town or he'll be in TR. And we'll know if the ice rod is here or not.
Oh, and he's back and still in Thieves. No ice rod yet.
Nope, we're fighting blind.
Yeah, if ice rod's not on blind, that is probably bad news for MrByer.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's just green pendant and they just both go there, then MrByer is half of Thieves behind, but TR big key ahead. But as long as he finds it close to when nashsauter finds it, he will be in the lead.
Yeah.
But if it's just somewhere that, I don't know, it's hard to predict where people are going to go from here. Because he has density plays and then he has leaning on metagame plays. Thinking if it's in GT, he probably lost already, so it's not there. Whereas somebody could very reasonably skip pendant Thieves. Okay, this looks like the green pendant play. I'm clipping down to desert and gonna fight Landmo. Get a pendant, and then if it's not on Sahasrara, I'd probably climb back to Moldorm to collect that pendant that he left behind earlier. Blind pull the pedestal. Oh, he never did checkerboard.
Yeah, it's interesting to get to this stage where both runners are putting off a dense check, right? We've got Compass Room versus TR. But as you say, it makes sense from a meta point of view. You're kind of looking at that race room, you're seeing that your opponent's not done at 140.
Nice job getting clipped into the the BMOS. And we're not gonna get instant gratification because we still have to watch him turn in the green pendant. And if MrByer comes down here, he'll also be checking the shovel, and that's going to take a little bit longer than Nash checking checkerboard cave. It's not quite on the way. And of course, there's always the possibility that instead of finding the ice rod, they find the mids. And then they have to start thinking about the smith chain.
Yeah, there are still mitts and book out there which are locking other checks.
Both of them locking exactly 2 checks, in fact.
Yep, it looks like MrByer is heading over.
You can see he's taking a different route to take care of that shovel before clipping over to desert. It's not the green pendant.
Oh.
Well, this hurts, but it hurts both of them equally.
Okay, Nash coming back out of Hera, so not making a straight ped play here.
No, he's doing
Going over to
TR.
TR.
Yeah.
And there is still one check, at least one check we haven't seen in TR, I think.
Yeah, and if it's here, MrByer is very much behind. Because that will be his last location, most likely. Because you don't get 2 pendants and then go back to the thing you orphan that's not the pedestal, right? Like, you had to keep going. Whereas Nash has this density play that he can do. He's coming in through the middle, which allows him to more conveniently check Mimic Cave and Big Chest. And also tells me he's not feeling very optimistic about Ice Ride actually being here.
Beautiful silver landmo from MrByer there. We'll see him handing that green pendant quickly.
Yeah, major decision point for him. If he goes back to TR, or if he continues to play for Pedestal, or if he goes to GT and cleans up those right side checks that he didn't get the first time. Another fake flute play just to turn in the green pendant. That's pure
I wonder if we
decadence.
might see that.
Pure
You've
decadence.
got the spare potion.
Is that even faster?
I
don't think it is. It's cooler though. All right, Mountain Cave. Really, all of his checks are gonna start from Mountain Cave now. That doesn't tell us anything. This is a camera correcting play, so I think he is going to TR or Pedestal. Yeah, this is going to be a ped play.
Looks like you're right. Yep.
All right. Well, if it's either ped or it's in this chest that Nash is about to get, and like, well, we're gonna know really soon which runner is in the lead.
And it will be a pretty decisive lead.
It will be. There's really no question about it now. It's either here or it's there.
Oh, and the book! Opening up options.
No, dude. Well, I guess we don't find out as soon as I'd hoped. Delayed gratification as usual, and Nash has to continue through TR too.
He has to clear it all.
You're not gonna figure out and do Bombo's tablet, right? Like he's gonna do Bombo's tablet with the pedestal. Like he's gonna do Ether tablet on the way to Moldorm. But MrByer will show us next, I suppose, which one it's going to be.
Unless Mitts are on ped.
Oh my goodness, don't say things like that. We're not even out of week 1. We haven't had a ped seed yet. We've had 2 Aga seeds just in the last 3 days, and we've had 2 Hammer and Swamp seeds yesterday in a row. Another fake flute. How many of these does he have in his pocket? Good lord.
A lot.
I know the waterfall was giving them out, but holy cow. It's a good way to get the pedestal checked, though. Like, it's the fastest way
it's
to...
a nice way to get back, for sure.
I wonder if I'll see Nash get the pendant and then do Ether Tablet, and then clip off of Ether Tablet to check Ped.
Blind pull pad.
And there it is.
And it's there.
Well, we got our first Ped seed of the tournament. In our second to last race of week 1. You know, if you're going to have a nice rod hunt, at least make it a Ped seed so that chat can have fun, right? Don't make it a boring pick a pendant. Unfortunately, Nash still has to go to Moldorm, which he's going to do. And I wonder if he's going to do what I said, which is to click down from Ether Tablet to pull the pedestal. It is a very decisive lead for MrByer, though. Everything Nash is doing right now is lost time. What's interesting to note is
just lose more time.
I think both runners have been moving at around the same speed throughout the race because the time difference is accounted for almost exactly by the one thing MrByer didn't do, which was the right side of GT and tile room.
Nash just having to grab that pendant. Already beaten Moldon.
I guess that had to be somewhere. He's not clipping down. I'm a little disappointed. He probably doesn't know the clip. But how often do you clip out?
That's not a very common clip.
I literally only do that if I'm pulling Pedestal. I don't think I've ever used it for anything else.
Where does it take you?
Well, it just takes you back to Lumberjack. It's kind of like reverse Lumberjack DMA.
Okay.
I suppose if you had defeated Aghanim and wanted to route in Ether Tablet into pulling Lumberjack, you could do that as well. Okay, so Nash is going to be basically Trinex trip behind, but he did go the right way, did not go to Bombo's first, which he could have done. Bombo's Tablet or Trinex has to be the mitts, right?
Yes.
I think it's one of the two. Small mercy that the mitts weren't available. I guess it's Bombo's Tablet.
Guess it must be.
Man, imagine if he had done that first.
And so MrByer, all the crystals done now. Just needs to head over to Ganon. No fake flutes this time though. Run out.
Ran out. All right. I think there are going to be some words about the seed when we call them in for interviews. You know what would have made this race a little different is if MrByer had actually had the fire rod when he went to TR, he would have been able to check the pedestal, and that would have given him a significant advantage. And he's still, you know, going to take this race most likely, but it would have been a much faster seed for him if he could have done that with Skullwoods.
Well, I mean, similarly for Nash, if Nash had gone to TR, hadn't left TR until very late, it's quite possible to have been able to check that ped a little earlier.
Yeah, both of them going to TR at exactly the wrong time. One of them before Fire Rod and one of them after everything else. Or I guess in this case, after Skullwoods. Getting a timing for the triple. Not quite the triple. Almost there. And that's GG for MrByer.
GG.
He has finished in first place with an official racetime.gg time of 1:52.29, taking this series into round 2. He's going to be facing Purity Wong, the number 2 seed.
And Nash grabbing his last crystal, fairly close behind, just needs to head over to the pyramid. And it looks like we are seeing one last fake flute for the seed.
You know, this seed made me want to drink too. I think I'm going to have a few blue potions after this one is over.
A nice walk through the Dark World meadows.
The verdant greens of the Golden Land. He still has one to spare too. I like that.
And we are joined by MrByer. GG.
GG.
So, how much drinking did you do during that seed, and how much will you do after it?
I don't know. Well, I don't drink, so I drink water.
You drink blue potions. I saw a lot of blue
yeah.
potions drank on your screen. So, yeah, how do you feel about facing Purity Wong in the next round?
A little scared. I don't know. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared, but I think I'll be fine.
Of course, there's no free matchups in this tournament. I thought your routing was very impressive throughout. You just got unlucky with the timing of your TR entry, missing out in the book. That would have allowed you to check the pedestal. Unfortunately, Nash also had a similar, except he went to TR too late, so he was not able to check ped either and ended up blind pulling it alongside you.
GG's to Nash, finishing at official race time of 1:56 flat. So, MrByer, I'm curious about the GT play, the compass room skip and tower room skip, because you were making a play towards that and ended up deciding just to climb the tower. Could you talk about that?
Because I knew I had all swamp and all base open already, so I was like, I'm probably just gonna do that first because I have to do it anyway.
It did seem like that play won you the race because you and Nash pulled Ped at a time interval about equivalent to what it would have taken you to do right side GT. Completion rate 184 out of 216. Classic ice rod hunt. Pedestal seed. Of course, we had to squeeze one in right before the end of week 1. Well, while we wait for Nash to accept or decline an interview, we can give our runners a follow. Both of them, hopefully continuing to play glitch modes. If not, follow them for whatever lies in store. MrByer will be continuing in the tournament. And imagine be playing a lot more of this as the time goes by. He does like to play the daily challenges, and those are always fun to watch as well. And we got Krithel as my co-commentator, and Adalor is our tracker, so give them a follow as well.
Thank you, Malmo.
All right, Nash is actually in the waiting room, so we'll be able to give him an interview as well before we end this stream. All right, GG's, Nash. You have any words about that seed?
Not really. I mean,
It's other
last
than the obvious.
location, ice rod. Well, I guess it's not technically last location because I could have gone to tablet first or something, but same thing.
I think tablet had your mitts. I don't think there was anything left.
Yeah, I was able to figure that out.
Small mercy of the game not to give you mitts earlier.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It could have gone worse.
Yeah.
So, do you have any plans for continuing playing glitch modes? I know you have done no logic in the past. And do you think you might be interested in doing like a no logic tournament next year, or continuing the...
Yeah, I'd totally do that.
Very nice. We'll be putting out a poll for people to give feedback on what the next tournament will be. It's a little early, but I wanted to catch that as people are still here. People who have been eliminated from the tournament might quit out of the server and miss out on that We'll also be putting out a poll to consider changing the overworld glitches weekly to a glitch modes weekly where we do HMG and OWG, and also have some times available for EU runners to play.
Sounds like fun. I guess if it's no logic tournament, it would be good to get the word out early so people can start learning.
Yeah, very true. The tournament server is, that usually goes dormant between tournaments, but you can always go into the main Rando Discord and go into glitch training and look for the resources there and ask people for help. There's always somebody willing to teach. But yeah, we got one more race coming up. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that race is going to be, actually I have to remember who, it's Pix and Chimo? No, it's not Pix and Chimo. Do you remember who it is?
No, but I can quickly look it up.
Oh, it's a Flip Hill versus a Cot. I was seeing Chimo as next week's first race. That's why. That would be Zeke versus Chimo for the round 2. But yeah, we got Flip Hill versus a Cot tonight. They're also doing a game 3, duking it out for advancement in the tournament. So keep an eye out for that.
Yep, and then round of 16 starts tomorrow.
Yeah, see you there.